Hello everyone, so today I'm going to be doing a top 10 list of my favourite roller coasters at ALTON TOWERS. There is one that I haven't been on before, and that is the Octonauts. Obviously that is made for like little children, it'd be so embarrassing to get on that. So I've never actually been on that, so we're going to put that at number 10. So at number 9, might be a bit controversial or whatever, is Spinball. I never really have a good time with Spinball. It's just really rough, and it's that last little helix at the end, it really gets my stomach going. Blech. I'm just not a big fan of it. So then at number 8 we have Galactica. Now this also might be a bit controversial, but it's just being in that flying position and waiting on that brake run, and it doesn't really happen a lot, but it's always in my mind that we're going to get stuck. I always just think that maybe the car should release on the brake run, because it is so uncomfortable being in this position for that long. God forbid it breaks down. I mean, obviously we will go on it sometimes, but I think last year we didn't even go on it. Not for me. So at number 7 we have the Runaway Mine Train. Now this one is very fun, and obviously you'd be like, why is this like being rated higher than Spinball and Galactica? Well, I think the Runaway Mine Train is quite snappy for what it is. Like, you go into that tunnel beside the rapids and it really goes for it. Like, you do not expect it. The other year we went round about 8 times. They were like trying to like beat a record, and every single time we went through that tunnel I was like, oh my god, because it's like this, but it's just a classic there, and I just think it definitely beats Galactica and Spinball and Octonauts, even though I've never really been on it. But I could imagine that everyone puts that at last because, you know, we don't really care. And number 6, I've put Rita. Now obviously there isn't really a lot of fans of Rita. Mum really likes Rita. She just likes it for the launch, and I do respect the launch. I think the launch is very like nippy and really cool, but I've never actually experienced stealth yet, because I went to like Thorpe Park when I was like 12 and I was way too scared to go on it. It just looked really intimidating. So I've never really been on any other launch coaster than Rita, but after that initial launch, it just it doesn't really do a lot. And it's just sort of boring, and then it's like over. It's good. It rattles quite a lot though. It's getting really rough, and obviously we know that the LSM launches are really getting a bit outdated now, so probably the future of that will probably go. But that is another point within itself. So at number 5, we've got 13. I'm actually wearing the 13 hoodie at the moment. I really used to enjoy 13. I think it's because, you know, I was younger, let's say, and I thought it was a really good like experience. I loved obviously the drop that we all know about. That's so unique, and it gets you by surprise. Even if you know it's coming, it does that like little dint, and then you feel like you're going so far down, but as we know, you're not really. But it's so unique of a coaster to be like the world's first. Obviously most of these things on this list are world first coasters, but with this and the drop track, it's just 13. Obviously it's a family coaster, we know that, so you know, it does like the layout where it's just a bit like, you get quite a lot of airtime though. That is another thing with 13, you do get a lot of airtime, but you know, as you're going up and round it, it's a bit like Rita, isn't it? Like, the Rita's about the launch, 13 is about the drop, and then they're going backwards. I do like, this is like a really weird thing to say, but I do like the launch into the station. I always put my arms up for that. Number 4, I've put Oblivion. Now, I do like Oblivion. I know it's like everything else really, like Rita launch, 13 drop, and then I guess Oblivion drop, but I really like Oblivion. I do have a bit of issues with fitting in it. I have to have the fat seat, which is becoming a bit of a problem with me at the moment. It's just, but still. So it sort of puts me off going on it because I can't actually fit on the ride, which might be a problem with Nemesis or any other thing. It's so embarrassing. But we don't talk about it. So, as I was saying, Oblivion, I do love that drop, and when it first was Well, when I first went on it, you got held longer at the top, and then you had that don't look down audio playing as you were held at the top. You used to be held at the top, but it felt like quite a long time. But these days, you're there, you stop for like a second, and then you go down. But when you go down, it's very much a one hit, like adrenaline, but it's like a drop tower, just down. But I think it's a very unique experience. Obviously, it was the first again, and we know it's not actually like vertical, but it does its thing. I think it's a very good coaster. I would like to try other ones that do a bit more than Oblivion. That'd be interesting, like Baron and Sheikra, you know, but only really been in the UK for theme parks and not really been to a lot anyway. So that's what I want to do in the future. We're going to go to more theme parks. But yeah, as we tangent on from that, this is so controversial. You're going to watch this and you're going to think, this person's crazy. But number 3, I've put the Smiler. Don't come for me, don't come for me. I like the Smiler. I think it's very obviously unique, as I've already said about everything else. I like the theme of the Smiler. I like the ride. It's starting to get really, really rough. I usually do the single riders hack when I go on it, because I'm usually the only one going on it anyway. But obviously when you're single rider, you just have to go where they put you. And I got front row, which scared me a lot. Don't judge me. But front row all the way to the right, and oh my God, my head was like this. Oh, if you watch videos of the Smiler, as well Saw from Fort Park, you can see everyone's head go like this with it. And it's just, I know there's like, you can put your head forward in that, but you shouldn't have to do that on a roller coaster. Like, it should be, I mean, obviously you're going upside down, uncomfortable, but it's just not smooth. And it just feels like you're in a shopping cart being bloody shaked around like this. It's just annoys me. The Smiler scares me. It's too intense for me. My head is spinning. I've got awful motion sickness. But I do go on it. I literally had a moment where I did not go on it. I went on it once, never did it again. But now obviously as well, 2023 Nemesis was shut. And that really did put a downer on the park for me, because I love Nemesis. I mean, that's sort of spoiling things. But like in the actual park, there wasn't a lot of thrill coasters with Nemesis gone, so I just thought, I'm going to go on Smiler. And I liked it, but rough. It made me really dizzy. I know it's meant to, don't say that. But it made me really dizzy. You know, you get to that like halfway point and your head's like this, and I'm just like, oh, just want it to be over. But I do enjoy it, but maybe I'm just not used to proper thrill coasters like that, because 14 inversions is a hell of a lot. So at number 2, this is really controversial again. You probably know the list of Alton Towers coasters, but I love Wicker Man. Wicker Man is amazing. I love the theme we call him Big Bob. Big Bob in the middle with the flames coming out, the fire coming out. And obviously as well, with it being a wooden coaster, as time goes on, it gets really, really quick, and that is what I love about it. Do not go on at the start of the day. That's what I've learned, because as time goes on, it starts to warm up, and oh my God, you roar down there. You roar around the track, and I just love Wicker Man, because it's just not all about the thrill, it's fun. I'd much rather that than the Smiler, because I just feel sick after the Smiler. And also I really like the Wicker Man pre-show. I feel like it really sets the ride up quite a bit. Like, you know, you get to stand there and then you learn the story. I mean, I'm not saying that it does not get a bit repetitive if you're trying to like re-ride it and you got to stand there. And then obviously if you're stood there in that really big building, like, you've lost your place in the queue and then people dart to that door. That is a bit of a problem. I do sort of like pre-shows when they're just in the queue, because if you get into a giant room, everyone's going to dart for that door and then you've basically lost your spot. I mean, obviously it doesn't take long for you to get there, but going out that really dark room into there, you know, I've nearly fell over because there's like that bar in front of it. I've really had some embarrassing moments in there, but you know, we move. It's still quite cool to have, but it just get a bit repetitive. So number one, you know, I've already mentioned it, but I really love Nemesis. Nemesis is just that coaster. It was my first ever looping coaster. Obviously, it got the love that it needed at the end of the day. Yeah. Oh. Obviously, it did have to get retracked, and I really love what they've done. They've really made the coaster look how it probably should have done back then. You know, they really went for the theme. You've got the eye that everyone goes and looks at. So it really shows that theming does mean a lot in a theme park, as it's literally called a theme park. I don't think they realised that they're called theme park. But yeah, the theming, and obviously we've got the bit of the rattle going on Nemesis, but I just don't really feel it. It's fine. I mean, it's got to bed in again. You've got to think that coaster was nearly 30 years old. That coaster was 30 years old, and now they've had to redo the track. So it's got to bed in a bit. It's got to have some teething moments, but it just roars. Well, it doesn't roar anymore. It still roars, not as much as it did, but it roars around that track. You know, you get a lot of forces from it. It's just, I feel like the Smiler, because obviously people have the two opinions. They'd say, oh, Smiler's better. Smiler is better to actually look at. If you look at that ride, it just looks crazy, but when you ride it, it hurts. With Nemesis, you look at it and it still looks good, to be fair, in that hole, and then like the big inversion and stuff like that. But you look at it, it looks good, and it rides well. This is the problem. You get the Smiler, it's got like too many inversions for anything to happen. Like, there's so much at the Smiler that hurts. But then when you go on Nemesis, I mean, it is a little tiny bit of a... I had my my Helix in up here. I don't wear it anymore, but I had this done, and I went on it, and then it was at the brake run, and then it started bleeding. But I think that's my own stupid fault. That was the old one, but yeah. I just think Nemesis is way better. You know, B&M versus Gerstlauer, we all know which one's wins on that sense. Obviously B&M. B&M are getting a bit more cheap with it all, and they're getting rounds, but that is for another video again. So yeah, that is my little list of, well, 10 coasters from Alton Towers ranked, in my opinion. I don't want to hear anything about the Smiler lovers, because I understand why the Smiler has so many fans, because that ride is crazy and it's very unique, and it's a world record holder even to this day. I wonder if anyone will ever beat it. Probably. So if you did like this video, then please subscribe. This is a new channel that I'm trying to do. I got the new equipment for it. I'm obviously going to be doing vlogs, but obviously at the moment the theme parks are not open. We do have a Merlin pass, so we're going to go to Alton Towers' 22nd birthday on the 21st of March. So it's Alton After Dark. I've always wanted to see that park in the dark. That rhymed. That did rhyme. But I've always wanted to see it, so we are actually going to go and see that. I really want to see Wicker Man in the dark. That coaster was made for the dark. And it'd be cool to see Nemesis, and the Smiler does look good in the dark. They all do, to be fair. 13 would be quite scary in the woods, in the dark. But yeah, so subscribe if you want to see that. Obviously, we've got a bit of time yet. I'm just counting down the days for the parks to be open, because it's so much better than... It's so exciting. That's what we need. We need the parks open. Then we can just go, I want to go to Alton Towers, and then we can go to Thorpe Park, Legoland, etc. So yeah, if you did like this video, give it a like, and thank you for watching. Bye.